Hey guys, Thomas the Solar Jr. here, aka Mustached. I'm here to review the movie Missing. If you end up enjoying this full movie review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my petition to help out smaller YouTubers, second and third to my Patreon and PayPal where you can help support me and my channel, and fourth to my Discord server. Any and all donations are greatly appreciated, and shilling will be reminded at the end of the review. So, with all that out of the way, let's get into the movie called Missing. Now, I've seen the trailer for this quite a bit of times, and obviously fell a little bit behind on the whole movie stuff for a bit here, as per usual. But, I'm catching up now. So, with all that out of the way, let's get into it. So the movie starts out back in 2008. With a younger version of our main character, who his name is, I believe, is no, not Heather, Jane. So, somebody, as we can see based off of the camera angle, is looking over footage and cutting it about this lost family trip. It then cuts to some news articles and some frantic situations that are occurring, where she is talking with one of her friends named Vina. And then shortly after that, the mom is with her. And though she is 18, the mom is still wanting to be very protective, as we will learn a little bit more as to why that is the case as the movie progresses. But as we currently see, she has a new husband, so the husband we see at the intro of the movie during that little family trip is out of the picture in one way or another. So, Heather, this co-worker, I believe, or neighbor, I believe it's one of those two, I think it's the neighbor, heads down, or is getting ready to head over. But the party is already underway as the mom is leaving, and Jane already made plans with her friend to do some sort of party. But during this, she gets a little bit bummed out as it's over Father's Day. So she decides to get flat out drunk during this party. And she watches the video that we see at the very beginning. So she sees that her area is not in a great state of affairs, so she goes to get some help instead of doing it herself, I guess, for whatever reason. We then are cutting to her at the airport, and we primarily watch this movie through either a computer screen or her phone or any other technological device is primarily the way this movie is pretty much shot for all of its runtime. So it's similar to, I don't remember the movies, but they're usually of the story of like the computer's like haunted, or like someone's haunting them through the computer, like that sort of thing. So it is a little bit refreshing to see a little bit of a step away from that, but still using that sort of method of recording, I guess, is the best way to put this. Anyway, so she's waiting for her mom at the airport, and she's starting to get legit concerned. So she calls up the resort that she knew that the mom was going to be staying at to see whether she can get any info, whether that be through the cameras or anything of that nature. However, it is going to be updating, like these cameras apparently update, and her time frame seems to be wearing thin. So while she's waiting on that, she's trying to gain access to her mom's account. And doesn't know the password though, so she can't quite get in yet. She's checking in the tourist locales from the webcams that are, I guess, just hovering above those areas, I guess. I think she's using Google Maps, or some live key cam feed thing. Anyway. She eventually hires an additional person, this hire in to essentially be like a detective, and she goes for somebody apparently she knows, or bonds with relatively quickly. Yeah, that part's a little bit odd to me, but okay. But she ends up like hiring the lowest end of the price point when she's looking for one anyway, is still the thing here. So, after she's trying to gain intel to her mom's account still, they take a gamble when they're talking to somebody about the 50/50 school locations. But it doesn't seem like the person at the other end of the line is really that worried about it. Just like name of school is like how they put it. Sorry for the cut there. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So she begins to do a bit of investigation, that being Jane looking for her mother now, continues to try to write notes, trying to piece together what is potentially happening. She gets an update with Heather, her neighbor slash, I believe the mother's co-worker, anyway. And she learns eventually that the husband has been changing names, and she sees that there's a bit of a money scheme going on with the new husband anyway. So she's trying to figure out that this new lady that he's been sort of glancing over. And through this intel, she gathers that the mother wasn't kidnapped in that location, that she's still somewhere here-ish in where they're at. So, she continues to do her investigations and looking over the online meetups, and sees that, again, all the stuff is unfolding at the seams here. And we see as to why the mom was a bit more understanding, or, more protective, that we unveil more of the content that was from that original footage. We see that the original father, wasn't all cracked up to what he was to be from the footage we saw. The unfound footage, or the cut footage, is a little bit more dark, or unveils he's abusive and controlling. So we see during these little moments after the fact, she goes to the live cams and backtracks it to when they were traveling, and finds the mom and him on the day that they were there, and sees the wedding proposal. And proceeds to see the couple get kidnapped. And of course, once this occurs, the online mediascape goes absolutely ham. It's on the news. Content creators take advantage of the information that, snippets of the truth, and are trying to just bite at any piece of content before the full story is even out, which is a true horror that exists, well, in 2023. So this movie is very relevant to, how news travels in today's world still. So I do appreciate that this movie has a very clear goal in mind to be like, and it's definitely one of the reasons, at least for me personally, why I wait until after a thing is out, and I make sure to check out the entire thing if I'm going to be reviewing it or any of that nature, because I want to know the full picture before I come to any snappy judgment. But that's just me. So we see her, let me see my notes here. So the news is spreading, and she's trying to deal with that. People misconstruing what the mom was doing because of her name being changed at some point during this whole ordeal. Certain of them starting to, again, just create these pieces that are like, hey, maybe she's like in on it or something. Again, kind of mongering these ideas before any, like, the full story is able to be enlightened to us. So she finds this hidden app, or this app that like hides you like what you're looking for, I guess is a way of putting it. But the password, she eventually just requests a new one, which works like twice in the movie, I think. A little bit convenient, but because that stuff is really annoying to do. I would know if you've ever forgotten your password. That's like a real nightmare too, in terms of being online. So anyways, so she gets the number, and it attaches it right back to Heather, which creates this whole new thread of what's going on. So she heads out, not ready to give up on her mom being in this whole ordeal, and heads over to Heather's office to find that Heather has already been killed. And we see at some point, I think it's around here, that the camera on her, like, from where we were watching her computer screen, like, backtracks to another computer screen, watching her entire computer screen on another screen. Which I'm not sure if that type of technology exists. Maybe it does. I mean, I think that's like the one that pushes this movie to be like, I'm not sure about that one, but still. Technology is advanced, so I'm on the fence on it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say here. Anyway, so yeah, there's money involved in this whole scheme of everything, and we see that the husband was found and eventually gets shot at by the police. We don't really see, like, we see bits of it being recorded, so we're not really sure what his exact response was that got him shot, but essentially, it did not go well. The new boyfriend is dead, or husband, or to-be, I guess, is dead now. So she finally pieces enough clues together that the password that the mom has changed it to is the nickname that she was called when all throughout, through pieces of the movie, which is Junebug. So she gets to her mom's account and checks the emails and sees that one person has blocked. She has blocked one person. And we finally discover who that one person is as we see one person arrive at her doorstep, which is her original dad. So we learn who the mom's real name is. It's Sarah. And she did all of that because apparently she went on Google to, just trying to, remove herself from him any, conceivable way, and a part of the steps it was giving online was to change name, was to also essentially log out of all your accounts, make sure everything, there's no trace of who you were, essentially, is the tips that they give her through the movie in that little section. So, the dad grabs her, and the mom is already there to the original household that we saw in the flashback, or the original recording. So now they both end up locked together in the same room. She remembers that, and I forget where she picks this up, but she has the watch on. I think she has this recording watch slightly before she goes to Heather's place. I think she purchases it before heading there. So it's essentially to record her. It was essentially to record Heather because she was suspicious of her initially, but that turned out not to be the case, obviously. Anyway, she updates we're updated on the situation, but the mom and her are not giving up yet, and the mom is shot at but not killed. She's shot in the stomach area, and the mom, in revenge, stabs the dad in the neck. And eventually, they call, the daughter uses the camera that was in the room watching them to call Siri, which is a computerized device that's accessible through a phone or however it's used, to call 911. So it's a pretty large setup of three things that all pretty line themselves up pretty neatly for her to do that, to call 911. So she's able to give out their information, their location. They're able to get found, and apparently they both agree to let their little story be told on this little Law and Order type show that airs, that's sort of like that, but it has a different name called Unfiction or something like that, that's based on her story that we see a different actress play. And then we see her call her mom, and we see them kind of try to get back to where they were, and we see the little tips and nods as to signify that they're still in that better place than what they were at the beginning of the movie, and that was the movie Missing. Overall, I would say this movie is actually pretty dang good. I'm not usually a fan of these movies of the phone, everything being recorded on the phone. That's typically because of the characters being pretty lackluster. We can see at the very minimum, the character's stress throughout the movie, and her dealing with ordeals that are very realistic, even by standards of 2023, of how just fast technology moves, and how fast people are wanting to jump on a story that's incomplete, and how scary it can be to be in that direct situation. knowing especially that it took place in another country, so you have to deal with their customs and their rules and trying to deal with all that on top of everything. And she ended up not even being there, and the fact that the original husband was abusive. So there are just layers of elements in this movie that really keep you invested. And I think that the character, I would say she's sufficient in her search, I suppose. I think I would have liked a little bit more setup, but for the little setup we do get, I think keeping it relatively simple in this case was a positive for the sake of this movie. Again, a little bit more I think would have helped, but I wouldn't say necessary. Just a little bit extra could go a long way. As for a score for this movie, I think a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10. I only go potentially slide to a 6 because of some of the believability of the whole recording someone else's computer screen. Again, I'm not really sure where that one lands on, something someone else can be able to do, but, again, for the most part, I think outside of that one, I think is pretty, realistic and pretty set on standards that are, very, accessible and understandable, and I think that's what a good horror movie should do, or I guess it's not really a horror movie, it's more of a mystery thriller, I guess is a better genre to categorize this under. Where is the mother? Who were these individuals she got herself involved with? All of these questions that are being proposed rather than some sort of entity. There's a little bit of horror, I suppose, with the dad being abusive and all that, so again, I think that sort of feeds into it a little bit here as well. So yeah, I think I would stick with a 7 out of 10 for now. Again, that little blip, I don't think it's enough to ruin the movie by any significant degree, so I would say a pretty solid movie. And that's my full review for the movie Missing. If you ended up enjoying it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my petition to help out smaller YouTubers. Again, a third to my Patreon and PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel directly, and fourth to my Discord server, where you can collab, chill, and do all that cool stuff for free. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.